Good morning, everyone. As the last speaker, and as the only woman speaker, I hope you lend me your ears. And greetings to Mr. Harish Manwani, Mr. Rakesh Mittal, Dean Madan, members of the executive board, faculty, and most importantly, the graduating students and their families. As one of the premier business schools and one of the top 50 business schools, as Mr. Manwani mentions, in the world, ISB is a very special place, and I'm very honored to be here. Thank you for having me here. And graduates, huge congratulations. It's a very proud moment for you and for your families and friends who have rooted for you for so long. Make sure you savor the moment, enjoy it, and celebrate it. So big things for you. So as I was preparing to come here, I received this piece of advice from my adult children, one of whom is also a postgrad, saying, "Mom, nobody wants to listen to your long career story, nor do they want to sit down and listen to Gyan. They are just waiting to throw their caps in the air and get their certificates, so keep it short." Well, having earned my gray hair and having earned this podium, what I am going to do is give you my operating model for life. And some of it, as I listened to the speakers before me, is very similar, right? It is really what I call my life lessons or my sutras, and I have 7 of them. The first one is really find your passion and then give it your all. You know, Bill Gates famously said, "The life you create and design for yourself is going to accumulate from the choices you make each time." And as tomorrow's leader, the future belongs to you. The opportunities have never been so plentiful and diverse, but also the pace of change has accelerated as never before. Therefore, the accompanying expectations and challenges can be potentially overwhelming. And as you make your choices, be mindful. Seize the opportunities you see and shape your path to get there. And what drives you now will certainly shift with life experiences and opportunities. You may pivot from different sectors, you may pivot from corporate to not-for-profit, you may become entrepreneurs, go back to corporate, but at each stage, I would urge you, find your passion and give it your all. There are no halfway measures. Olympians don't succeed by being partially focused on their sport. It's a 100% commitment. So if you need to succeed, it's a 100% commitment. There's no halfway house. And the aspiration should be to hit the sweet spot. You know, there's a Japanese word called ikigai, which you must have heard of, which is really where your choice lies at the intersection of 4 areas of life: what you love, what you're good at, what you get well paid for, and what the world needs. That is where really life, career, and purpose meet, and there's a deep sense of meaning. And when you find a sweet spot, will vary in your career journey, in your life journey. So therefore, number 2 sutra, take risks, solve hard problems. Because a few of you, the lucky few, may find your ikigai from the word go. You know, like the ChatGPT inventor and OpenAI CEO Sam Altman, who learned to program and disassemble a Mac at age 8, founded a mobile app at 20, and before he was 30, became the head of startup accelerator Y Combinator. So that's him. But then many others took much longer, like Reed Hastings, for example, who sold vacuum cleaners, was a US Marine Corp, volunteered as a teacher in Swaziland before he found his calling and founded Netflix. Or, if you're finding your passion and pursuing it for a greater good, you could do no better than taking inspiration from Dr. Geeta Manjunath, who solved a hard problem, started Nirmai, which is actually revolutionizing and breast cancer detection for women across the globe. She's made it affordable. She's used the power of artificial intelligence and machine learning. She's solving a very hard problem, and that is her passion. And what's common amongst all these people is they took chances. They took big chances and big risks and followed their passion. And as you take risks, you will fail, right? And therefore, my third sutra, build resilience. You know, it is going to happen. Life will happen. There will be turns. And therefore, you have to remain agile and you have to remain nimble. You have to learn to course correct and move on every time you fall. I'm a hiker, and I know that, you know, when you're hiking in really hard places, there are times where it's steep and rocky, it's wet, you lose your way, right? And there are times where you want to turn back. You want to give up. And then the sense of joy that comes when you crest that peak and you finish treading those triple slopes, and all that hard work is worth it when you crest the peak and see the views. And it's for that you're fighting for. So therefore, build resilience. And as you build resilience, also surround yourself with people who share your passion, who can support you, who can help and guide you. Because even in the most extreme individual sport, there is a team behind the athlete. And success is always a team sport. It is not a solo run, ever, in any sport. Number 4, and every speaker before me spoke to this, make values your bedrock. When you're faced with complex decisions where rights and wrongs are hard to determine, or you're working in very rapidly evolving circumstances, values act as the guardrails that keep you from veering off course. And we've all seen very successful companies and entrepreneurs fail because they weren't guided by the right values. We've also seen businesses and leaders stand tall because they led with values. You know, as an example, Airbnb's co-founder, Brian Chesky, he canceled all reservations in Washington, D.C. During President Biden's inauguration week because he discovered that during the Jan 6th riots, the Capitol Hill riots, a lot of the rioters had booked into Airbnb, so he just canceled it. They lost $16 million because of this decision, right? Earlier in 2016, he canceled millions of Airbnb users for not complying with their community commitment for non-discrimination. Last year, Airbnb posted record revenues of $8.4 billion. Can cause and effect be established here? No. But did Airbnb earn respect for showing courage to deprioritize profits? Absolutely yes. Could this have influenced people to use its services? Yes. And so define your values and own them. Think about what success means to you and who your role models are, because circumstances can and will change, and there'll be occasions which require you to make very hard choices. And you will be in positions as leaders to make very hard choices. And if you keep your values front and center, the choices become much easier. Number 5, embrace failure. It'll happen, right? But failure is really the crucible for all learning. The most defining moment in my life, for example, have been when I've experienced setbacks and failures. One of my biggest failures was when I, as a co-founder, all the co-founders were fired by the VC firm when we set our tech startup up. Now, we'd set a tech startup, a deep tech startup, well before India had any deep tech startups. We were the first few product companies out of India. We couldn't get funding. We got it in Seattle, and then the VCs one fine day fired us. 7 years of hard work, 7 years of building a dream went in a flash. Right? I was filled with a lot of self-doubt, looked inwards, ran, meditated, and importantly, volunteered with not-for-profits, which was a humbling and a tremendous learning experience. Out of that volunteering came my next startup idea, which was We co-founded Pratham Books, which is a non-profit publisher of children's books, and it's one startup I'm very proud of. We've published over 1 million books in 32 languages, and we've used the potential of digital to create impact through the digital platform, storyweaver.org.in. There's the plug for it, go look for it. And my failure at the startup of those 7 years also prepared the foundation for my career at Accenture, as I assimilated the learnings and pivoted from being an entrepreneur to being a corporate person. And again, your life will be full of ups and downs. And it's really what you take away from your failures. What are the learnings that you take from your failures, and how do you apply them to the next phase that will determine your path? And therefore, for that, number 6, be fluid, be a lifelong learner. Dean Madanik said that. There is a tsunami of change and disruption coming our way. It's already here, right? We've seen so much disruption, especially in the technology world that I represent in the last 5 years. And technology is disrupting every aspect of our life and our work and our play, and it's becoming deeply embedded in how we operate. It's also sparked an unprecedented opportunity space for new jobs, new roles, new industries. And the only way you can seize all of this is if you're constantly learning, because the half-life of technical skills, at least, and I would dare say your skills that you've learned at ISB is just about 2.5 years, right? So you have to constantly learn. You have to constantly adapt. This would be my ask. And my 7th sutra, and again, something repeated by everybody, is give back, give back. We are all very privileged, and we have to be grateful for what we have. And we have to use our gifts to give back to society in however small a way. I mean, speaking for myself, for me, the biggest satisfaction comes from when I am doing my work with the not-for-profits, when I am making a difference, whether it's with Accenture to skill the underprivileged, or with NASCOM to build the skilling platform, etc. And that is the biggest satisfaction you can get. So do that. It also makes you a better human being. So do it for just being from a selfish perspective. It gives you a much better human being. Therefore, in closing, you have one life to lead. Make the most of it. Make every day count. Have no regrets, and do whatever you do with complete passion and purpose. You also have a responsibility to yourselves, so look after yourselves. Don't forget to take care of your body, your mind, your soul. And with apologies for my continuing sports metaphors, life is not a sprint. It's an ultra marathon. So you've just got off the starting block with your MBA, and it's an early stage of your professional journey. And just as you need strategy and stamina and training to run a good race, you have to strive to stay relevant and last the distance by being a lifelong learner, by taking risks, and overcoming the challenges that come a long way. To close with a quote from Nelson Mandela, "There is no passion to be found in playing small, in settling for a life that is less than the one that you're capable of living," close quotes. So therefore, live large, live life to its fullest. All the best. Thank you.